guys, my name is Shay and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be reviewing Good Trouble, Season 3, Episode 8, Trust. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get it! The episode starts off with Alice doing a sketch in the comedy workshop. Sean is doing a sketch about crazy bosses, and it flashes to Yuri aggressively breaking his paintbrushes, and Gael looks shook. Stacy is doing her sketch about two types of women, the ones who keep it real, and it flashes to Malika's girlfriends, asking her what is wrong with her. Stacy mentions the other type of woman, who sugarcoat stuff, and it flashes to Mariana, Claire, and Rachel, telling her she did a good job on her pitch. Lindsay is doing her sketch about having a crush on someone and not knowing where they stand, and it flashes to Ruby asking Alice if she is free tonight for them to hook up. Derek is doing his sketch about running into his ex, and it flashes to Malika saying that she has feelings for someone else. Magda is also doing her sketch about exes, and how everywhere you turn, there they are. And it flashes to Callie in the conference room, and she sees Jamie and Nicolette walk in together and give each other a flirty look. Alice is doing her sketch about how white people used to exclude them, but now they are including them by crafting racism for the new generation. She sees Ruby and immediately gets embarrassed. And props to the writers and especially the editors for the way this opening scene was shot. I thought it was really cool how each comedian's sketch paralleled to a flashback that was included in their sketch. That was really dope. Callie is watching Kathleen in her office, and it flashes to Callie catching up with Ben. She asks him for a favor about getting information on Kathleen being investigated by the FBI. There is a delivery man who comes in the office and drops off boxes of files. Kathleen tells the group that they have a new client, Tommy Sung, a 19-year-old high school quarterback. Tommy was on his way to scout for colleges, but he had some bad games, and the coach replaced him with his best friend, who was also a quarterback. A few days later, the best friend ends up dead at a keg party, and the prosecutor thinks that Tommy is the suspect. She tells him that Tommy's family fired their previous legal team, and they go to trial in a week. She lets the group know that she is filing for a continuance and tells them to get to reading. Rowan is geeking out about this being their first murder case and says that they should all take a picture. Mariana, Claire, Rachel, and Gina are doing their pitch about bulk beauty. Gina is closing the pitch and she is extremely nervous and getting her words mixed up. It flashes to Mariana, Rachel, and Claire saying that Gina is bad at doing the pitch. Mariana comes up with the idea of getting someone else to tell Gina that she is bad so they won't have to do it themselves. And I'm like, sure, that's going to work out just great. Of course, that someone is our favorite character, Kelly. The pitch is over and the girls tell Kelly to be honest about how she felt about their pitch. Kelly takes out her AirPods and says that she was not listening. She says that the girls look like super nerds and that she would totally buy whatever it is they're selling, but doesn't know exactly what that is. And I was like, ugh, I love her, man. She makes me laugh every time she comes on screen. Every time. And I cannot get enough of it. Gina tells the girls that they did a great job, and they reply that Gina did great too, but clearly they are lying to make her feel better. Davia and her students are at Yuri's studio looking at his art pieces. The students say that they don't really get the art, and Gael tells them that the art is subjective and it's important to be respectful of the artist. Davia asks Gael about Yuri, and it flashes back to Yuri yelling at Gael because the paintbrushes are not stiff. Back to reality, Gael says that Yuri is in a bit of a mood and doesn't know if he's going to show up. Yuri does show up and he welcomes the students and tells them that they are going to make some art. Malika is in her therapy session and says that she is only there because Isaac and Deontay said that she should talk to someone. She mentions that she is confused and it flashes back to Isaac confronting Malika about Deontay. Malika tells Isaac that Deontay is her friend and that he is her man. And I'm like, girl, why are you lying? Back to reality, the therapist asks Malika why is she confused, and Malika says that why she's trying to blow up her relationship, and that's the same thing I'm trying to figure out, and I do not understand. Stacy and Alice are doing a sketch about eating soup with chopsticks. Scott tells Stacy to be more sassy and asks Alice to repeat chopsticks with the accent. I literally cannot with this guy. I can't. He gets on my nerves. After the sketch, he tells the group that the showcase is in 3 weeks and their goal is to sign with CA by intermission. He says that it is the survival of the funniest and one person will be cut. Sanjana suggests that the group go to open mic night to remind themselves of why they love doing comedy. They all agree, and Alice sees Ruby in the doorway and sneaks over to her. They kiss, and Ruby asks Alice if she is free later tonight, and it flashes to Alice telling Davia that Ruby is in the driver's seat. Back to reality, Davia's advice to Alice about taking the role plays, and Alice tells Ruby that she has a date. Ruby is surprised and says that she is playing the field. Alice agrees and acts like she is throwing out her fishing rod and reeling in some fish, like she is catching something. Like she is too cute. Ruby kisses her and tells Alice to not forget about her, and everybody is just lying at this point, like Malika to Isaac, Mariana and the girls to Gina, and now Alice to Ruby. Like, this is just a lying fest. Gina is redoing her part of the pitch, and she is saying that the information, like she is auditioning for a dramatic role, and that's like, girl, like tone it down. Tone it a lot the way down. The girls lie to her yet again, and Mariana suggests that they split up Gina's part so they each can have a say in promoting the brand. Gina picks up on what they are trying to do and says that she will be in charge of clicking through the slides. Kathleen, Kelly, and the coworkers are in the conference room waiting for the rest to arrive. Mark comes in with Nicolette and Jamie, who glance at each other, and Callie notices it. Kathleen asks Callie for a copy, and Callie is completely off her game, and everyone notices it, including Kathleen. Kathleen asks Mark how many times he wants to try the case, and Mark replies that he will take his chances. Kathleen tells him that she will see him in court, and they leave. After they leave, Mark asks Jamie if he wants to be on third chair on the case, and Mark is only doing that because he saw how Callie was affected by Jamie being there, and that's messed up. Malika is at her job talking to her girlfriends about her situation with Isaac and Deontay. It flashes back to Malika's therapy session and says that she has feelings for someone else. The therapist asks Malika what does she find appealing about Deontay, and Malika replies that he is kind and supportive, and they have a similar story. She says that he moves her in a way and that he makes her happy. And while I'm listening to her say all of that, besides having a similar story, all of that she described about him is literally Isaac. Like, she has all of those things in Isaac, but whatever. It flashes back to reality, and her girls are telling her not to blow up the best thing to happen to her and them. Her friend says that they are all invested in their relationship, and they need more black love in this world. And I'm like, I know that's right, sis. I know that is right. The students are painting their own art designs at Yuri's studio. Andre asks Yuri what got him into art, and Yuri replies that his options were limited and that he sucked at school. He gives them a PSA to stay in school and compliments Davia as a teacher and her students. She thanks him for letting the students come to his studio and paint. He tells Yuri that his work is amazing and tells him that Gael is also talented as well. Gael looks over in shock, and it flashes to her asking Gael about his new painting. Gael says that he has been working on his own art, but it's hard to get your work into galleries without having connections. Davia suggests that he asks Yuri, and Gael says that it doesn't really work like that. You can't ask the artist has to ask you. It flashes back to reality, and Gael comes over, and Yuri says that they should both start cleaning up. Gael makes a face at Davia for meddling in, and she makes a face right on back to him, and it was hilarious. Callie comes into Kathleen's office and gives the draft for the continuance request. Kathleen questions Callie about her and Jamie, and the nickname she was given Jamie was hilarious. First Ken doll and then Clark Kent. And me hollering. And she was pretty much calling him a pretty boy. Or a man, I should say. Callie says that her and Jamie's breakup was complicated and that they are two different people. Kathleen tells Callie to not be surprised when Mark puts Jamie on the case. She says that their goal was to rattle Callie and weaken her flanks. Callie mentions that she knows about Kathleen being investigated by the FBI. Kathleen says that it is probably true and she is not surprised by anything since her mother died. She says that today is her mother's birthday and she is drinking and throwing herself a pity party. She says that she was around Callie's age when she died of a heart attack. She mentions that she never wants to be blindsided like that again, so she expects the worst and is only surprised when it doesn't happen. And that's an interesting but sad perspective to look at it. Callie says that she can relate because she also lost her mother due to a car accident when she was 10. Kathleen says that explains Callie's determination, her grit, and why she has a hard time trusting people. They apologize to each other for being so young to lose their mothers, and I really, really love this scene because this was the first time that they truly connected and shared a beautiful and real moment. So hopefully we can see more of this because it was really, really refreshing. Before Callie leaves Kathleen's office, she asks her who told her that she was being investigated by the FBI, and Callie replies that it was Jamie. She gives Callie advice on how to, when they rattle her, to rattle them right back. Callie goes on Instagram and posts a photo of her and the coworkers and crops out Rowan to make it seem like it was just the two of them. Yuri tells the students that they did a great job on their art pieces. They asked him who decides to get art into these museums. Yuri replies that art collectors, curators, and critics make those decisions. Yuri tells them that everyone can be a critic and asks them what do they think of an art piece. He tells them that looking at the art is more so about what you feel and your emotional connection to it. The students say that they don't feel anything, and when looking at the art piece, Yuri says that he has to learn how to have thick skin, and everybody is not going to get your art. Davi and the students leave, and Gael thanks them for letting them come. Yuri gets up and slashes his art piece the students commented on, and I'm like, so much for that thick skin he was talking about. He was mad. Alice is doing her sketch about the people who create these diversity programs are creating jobs for people in the 1950s. She sees Ruby and immediately feels embarrassed. Ruby says that with Scott's racial stereotypes and everything, sadly, these are the parts for people of color. She mentions that at least people can turn on their TVs and see diverse faces. Alice orders 2 drinks and Sanjana comes over and tells Alice that she forgot to give her money for the drinks. Alice acts like Sanjana is her date and tells her to not worry about it and that she has the drinks covered. She mentions to Ruby that relationship is new and is on the DL. Ruby asks us to come over to Alice's place, and Alice reassures her that the relationship is not new, and Ruby gets the hint and tells her to have fun. Back at the bar, Malika asks her girlfriends if they know any couples who are polyamorous. She defines polyamory, and it means to share love with more than one person, and it flashes back to Malika's therapy session. She says that Isaac makes her feel safe and cherished, and he challenges her in good ways. The therapist says that it sounds like Malika's desires to have a relationship with both men. Malika says that she feels that it is wrong and that she is being selfish. The therapist says that people have been conditioned to having one significant partner. The therapist says that for most people, consensual non-monogamy feels more natural for them. The therapist suggests that Malika asks for what she truly wants. Malika's girlfriends tell her that is it worth the risk of losing Isaac, telling him her true feelings because when she does, she cannot take it back. And I agree. It's like once you put it out there, you cannot reverse it. So you better be careful and know for sure that this is what you want to do. Yuri tells Gael that he hasn't painted anything good since his wife left him and took their daughter back to Australia. He admits to being a terrible husband, but a great father. He says that the students were great and that they reminded him of his daughter, Blaze. He says that Blaze is his heart and that he hasn't felt an ounce of inspiration since she left too. Gael tells him to put everything into his artwork for his daughter. Yuri thanks him for trying to cheer him up and admits that he can be a bit of an a-hole. And I'm like, a bit. More like a lot. But at least he admitted it. Yuri asks if he can come over to look at Gael's artwork, and Gael happily agrees, and I love that. Kelly comes into the bathroom and asks Mariana what is up with Gina and her nerd group. It flashes back to Gina in the bathroom crying, and Kelly sees her and walks straight past her, and I'm like, no, that was so mean. Back to reality, she tells Mariana that she pretended to not see Gina because she is not so empathetic. She mentions how Gina was crying because she was so bad at the pitch. Kelly says that she really was listening and that it's not her job to tell Gina that she is not good. Alice is scrolling through social media and she sees a video of her comedy sketch talking about the comedy director Scott on Derek's page. Scott comments a reactionless emoji and Alice is freaking out and panicking. The next day at the comedy program, Derek apologizes to Alice, saying that he thought that he posted the other video and that it was an accident. Scott comes in and tells Alice that he saw her act on Instagram and that it was hilarious. He says that they all should be able to laugh at themselves. Mariana, Claire, and Rachel apologize to Gina for lying to her. They have a conversation and agree to be honest with each other so they can be good friends and business partners. They each take turns and give each other constructive but friendly feedback. It was funny because once it got to Mariana's feedback, she immediately stopped it and said that was enough for today. Like she could dish it, but she can't take it, obviously. Gael and Davia are in his room and he's asking her what pieces he should show to Yuri. He gets a call from Yuri, and Yuri tells him that he's been up all night and working on new pieces, and that he needs Gael to come to the studio immediately. And you could see it in Gael's face that he was hurt that he wasn't coming up to see his artwork. In court, Kathleen and Mark are going back and forth about the Brady disclosures. The judge denies Kathleen's request for continuance and says that the trial will proceed as scheduled. Kathleen says that she is gathering testimonies from expert witnesses and that it will take more than a week to prepare for trial. The judge agrees and tells Kathleen to have a good foundation for the testimonies. He tells Kathleen and Mark to be back in court in 3 days. Kathleen, Kelly, and the coworkers leave the courtroom. Mark tells Jamie that Kathleen's days on the case are numbered because of her FBI investigation and also the fact that she's dirty. Ruby comes to talk to Alice, saying that if she is dating someone in the comedy workshop and her at the same time, things can get messy. She tells Alice that they should take a break and she leaves, and even though Alice wanted something more with Ruby and she didn't want to keep having one-night stands with her, she winded up losing her anyway by lying. Like, she shouldn't have lied and said that she was dating someone. That was a bad move, Alice. A bad move. Gael comes to the studio and Yuri says that he has been inspired. He asks Gael for his help with painting a sketch he did, and Gael says that there isn't much to go off of from the sketch. Yuri tells him that he is a talented artist and now is his chance to prove it. Kathleen, Kelly, and the coworkers are going over the witnesses' files to see if there is anything that can discredit their testimonies. Kelly gets a video call from Ben and she leaves the room. Ben tells her that it is true that Kathleen is being investigated by the FBI. He tells Kelly that he can do more digging, and Kelly replies that she is not interested and thanks him for his help. Jamie is scrolling through social media and he sees Callie's post of her and the coworker. It flashes back to Malika's therapy session from earlier. The therapist tells Malika that not being her authentic self and not asking for what you truly need is what ultimately destroys relationships. Back to reality, Malika says that she needs to tell Isaac that she lied. Malika says that she does want to pursue a relationship with Deontay, but also stay in her relationship with Isaac. The therapist asks Isaac how does he feel about that, and he looks stunned. And I was not expecting for him to be in the therapy session, and that was such a good cliffhanger. Like, oh my gosh, it was so good. I don't want to see them go through this, but the writers definitely do because they created this crazy storyline. I really do love Malika and Isaac together, and I'm hoping that they can overcome this obstacle. To wrap up this video, I'm going to do 3 quick things. First, my quick thoughts on the episode. I enjoyed it. I am enjoying watching Callie's storyline as a lawyer because it is so interesting. Alice, Mariana, and Malika lying to protect people's feelings. At least in the end, both Malika and Mariana told the truth. I am anxious to see how Isaac is going to react to this because it's definitely going to be interesting and there's definitely going to be drama. Second, my thoughts on next week's promo. It shows Gael saying that he asked Callie to go to another show. Mariana is questioning Callie if she wants to get together with him, and Callie saying that she doesn't think that he likes her like that anymore. And I'm like, of course he does. Like, it's clear, super clear, crystal clear that Gael and Callie are still feeling each other, and the chemistry is still there. So, what are you waiting for? Third, I'm going to do a quick rapid fire of the episode. Favorite scene, Yuri opening up to Gael about his wife and daughter. It was so nice to see that side of him because all that we have seen since he came on the show is, him being angry or drunk. So this was a nice change. Favorite quote, it is not my job to tell her. I'm not her business partner or friend or her lover by Kelly, the hilariously Kelly. Favorite duo, Kelly and Kathleen. I really appreciated that scene where they both connected over losing their mothers at such a young age. It was beautiful to watch. Favorite look, Mariana's red girl power sweater with the red lip was poppin'. She looked so cute. And my WTF moment, Malika lying to Isaac, telling him that she didn't want to be in a relationship with Deontay. I was so mad when she did that. Like, girl, stop. Like, I love Malika, I really do, but she was getting on my nerves this episode. She really was. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Good Trouble. I review other shows like Grownish, All American, Riverdale, and Legacies. And if those interest you, please check out those videos on my channel and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going and let me know your thoughts about the episode in the comments. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe. See you guys next week.